but Dimitri is just getting ready with his side in just a minute.
Hello, everybody. We are live. Welcome aboard to the American Rail Club live stream. I'm here joined by our host, David Mitchell. David, you're on. Can you hear me, David? Okay.
Oh.
Yep, there you
are.
Dimitri,
I can't hear you, bud. Uh-oh.
Can't hear me?
Happening again.
Okay, hold on, because I'm seeing the little green thing on Discord, so hopefully everybody should hear me.
Oh, boy.
Okay, just making sure loud and clear.
Sure I'm on my end.
Hold on a second. Now you can't hear me on Discord. Okay. Give me just a second here, guys. It's always something, but hey,
I can't hear Dimitri on and hold it.
Getting stuff in order here. Give me a second. Input device. Oh, there you go. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. All right, now we're set.
Yeah, I can't hear him. Oh boy.
Alrighty.
Not even right at the beginning of the live stream.
There we go. Fixed it. Okay, everybody. Welcome on board. Just again to the American Rail Club live stream, the ARC stream. Joined here by David Mitchell. Welcome aboard, David. Okay, now David's again on mute. Okay. Well, let's get going over here because, I mean, guys, America is, like I said, our infrastructure has crumbled, and I think this kind of shows sort of the state of where everything is, but I mean, it gets worse from here. So for those of you who have been living under a rock, or for those of you who do know still, Hurricane Helene has completely wreaked havoc in the Appalachian region, in particularly North Carolina and Tennessee, but also in the regions around in Georgia and Alabama, even up to Virginia and Ohio even got affected. And of course in Florida, people down there also got affected as well. So, and even through South Carolina, everywhere in the Southeast has gotten hit by this, but nothing more worse than what has gone on over in Appalachia. I mean, it is just brutal what has happened to these poor folks over here, and the response to it...
I still can't hear you, bud.
All right,
you might have to restart the Discord.
Okay, give me just a second. Can you hear me now? Okay, now it's not working again. Okay, give me just a sec. All right, let me go ahead and end the stage over here and start it right over again. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see if you guys can hear me now. We good? Okay, good. We're now. All right.
Good. We can hear you now.
Okay, good. Good. Okay, so back to this. I mean, yeah, this is just showing how the devastation from Hurricane Helene has already wrecked just how bad the infrastructure and supply chain is here in the United States. I mean, look at this. Just roads completely washed out. Whole entire communities washed away. I mean, there's hundreds dead at this point. We can't confirm. Nobody can really confirm how many are because there's been reports of people just dead, just floating down rivers. So, I mean, they've needed hundreds of body bags.
245 already dead.
245 confirmed, yeah. And there's still hundreds missing. So, this is just terrible.
Oh. It's that, and here, Dean, crooked companies are already starting to come in and try to buy up land up there already. They're trying to.
Oh yeah, we'll be talking about that as well, of the response to this. And this is just, again, this is telling us everything that we need to know about our federal government right now. For everything we've been talking about is like, we need to fix our infrastructure. We need to fix the adaptability that our country is when it comes to responding to these sorts of disasters. And just everyday sorts of things, because the government can't even handle that in fixing our roads, bridges, tunnels, railroads, anything that needs to be fixed. They can't even handle that. So when disaster comes and strikes, people die. And just look at the difference of this that I'll be playing over here. But I mean, yeah, David, I don't know if you're seeing this on the screen. I mean, look at this, like just complete just devastation, just entire towns, like before and after, satellite images, just whole towns washed away.
Sydney Rock, it completely wiped off the map. Like the
Yeah.
town of Sydney Rock, North Carolina, completely wiped off the map. It's bad.
Yeah, I got a couple stuff on Sydney Rock and what's going on there, of what's potentially behind the just leaving the devastation there, and why there's not really any help going on over there. It's pretty bad. And it's iffy of what could be had, like, between FEMA's just either unwillingness to help or just blatant. It doesn't matter whether it's blatantly obvious whether they don't want to help and are doing this on purpose, or they're just so stupid that they can't help. Either way, it's bad. And that's the problem. Either if they're evil or stupid, it doesn't matter. I mean, people are not getting help for any reason.
I think they're doing it on purpose because about 3 months ago, they found a massive lithium deposit up in the brewage that would last about 200 years if it were mined.
Yeah.
Like, so that's probably one of the reasons why they're not helping. They're probably letting the people die off, which, if that's the case, then that's evil. You know?
Oh yeah, we're definitely going to be talking about that, because I got that synced up here. I got a couple tabs talking about that too. But yeah, if that's the case, and look, this sort of stuff happened, like what happened in Maui was pretty terrible. Whether that was, again, could have been a direct energy weapon or whatever, I don't know. The result is still the same. Those people are never going back home. People are still dead, and you have these institutional investment companies buying up thousands of acres of land.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of that, I need to bring something up that you remember about 6 months ago, the last collab we did about the BRT here in Charlton that they're planning to build?
Yeah, I remember that.
People are already protesting against it. Plus, I found something out even that are probably even more evil what's going on here in Charleston. Is that the port right there in downtown Charlton that already got the tracks, they're trying to get rid of that to stop any future commuter rail plans for Charleston. They're trying to destroy the existing infrastructure here in Charleston to stop a future commuter rail system from downtown to downtown Somerville.
I mean, that's just terrible, man. I mean, it's like dude, the more and more I hear about this, I mean, it's just purposeful what's going on to our country. I mean, this is just being done on purpose.
Oh, I know. And here, Jane, what is going on? Reason why they're trying to move the port and the railroad tracks from there is because the paper mill up inland is shut down, and the river is a deep sea river port. They're trying to move the port that are right in downtown Toronto. They're trying to move the carport right where the old paper mill is, because they're tearing the paper mill right down right now. They're tearing it down, and they're planning to turn that into a deep sea port, and they're trying to move everything that are right there, right near the Arthur Ravenel Bridge. They're trying to move all of that inland. And what they're trying to do is they're literally trying to get rid of train tracks that are right there in downtown Toronto and on the peninsula, because they realize if they don't want any future commuter rail plan to pop up, what do? You destroy the existing infrastructure there to get rid of it. Am I right?
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that once that infrastructure is destroyed, it's going to be incredibly hard to get that back in. Because, I mean, look, yeah, just this. I mean, even in the roads, I mean, I-40 is basically gone in between Tennessee and North Carolina, and they're not going to even be building the road until 2025. So imagine if they were to take away a railroad track that has had the right of way there for decades, if not a century and a half. That's not going to come back.
Oh, I know. And right now, I'm trying to form a group, because the only reason I know about all this stuff is because of my cousin/uncle who worked for CXX here in Charleston, plus a couple of friends of mine who work in this governor office with stuff. And this is how I found out, because they're trying to move everything inland. And worst part yet is they're trying to put apartment and condos right in that area, because they realize if they could put condos and apartment right there, you're going to have people saying, not in my backyard, aka NIMBYs, trying to deny something that will help infrastructure.
Yeah. No, man,
So
it's just getting worse and worse. I mean, okay, so if you're checking this out on the screen, again, this is part of just a section here of I-40 just gone right in the river. It's not coming back, and they're saying now that look at this. There's so many closed exits or closed sections of it all throughout that section there of I-40 that this is not going to be coming back. Saying a lot of people want to see the storm damage for themselves is a bad idea and could get you arrested. I-40 westbound is closed from Statesville to Black Mountain. This is going to take a long time to put lives back together. So,
I know.
Yeah, man.
And here's the thing. I'm laughing my ass off about it because you ever heard the Saluda grade coming from Spartanburg to Asheville?
I think I've heard of it, yeah.
Even though it was one of the steepest mainline grades here in the U.S., and when it was abandoned in 2001, I'm laughing my ass off because that line could have been very important right now to get supplies in. And let's be honest, you could get more in by train than you can by truck and car.
Yeah. Because right now the roads are gone. I mean, even the railroads have also suffered too. But I mean, the thing is, it's a lot harder to get rid of a railroad than it is to get rid of a road, because there's a lot more. There's heavier infrastructure on there that's keeping a railroad track in there rather than a road that can just be washed away again. Yeah, you can. The thing is that a railroad can be able to bring in a heck of a lot more supplies into that area, and then it can be airdropped or shipped over either by plane or by helicopter to a lot of these affected regions. Which is yeah, and this is just terrible. I mean, look at this before and after the lights over here, and just you can see the electricity effect, like right through northern Florida, through Georgia, through South Carolina, through North Carolina, Tennessee, just completely
I also
black.
got hit by it too. Like, we had power out too,
Yeah, man. It's how long was it out for you guys?
About a day and a half. Like, we lost power Friday morning because we almost got yeeted by a tornado. Like, literally, we had a tornado 2 minutes from our house. Came through the swampy area, taking the power out. Like, we nearly got messed up from it.
Yeah,
it took the power out about. That all did, so we were lucky. But, Jane, we were out of power until Saturday afternoon around 2 p.m., like 2:30 p.m., and when we got our power back.
Yeah, thank God you're doing good, man, because, I mean, this...
Oh, I know.
Yeah, and I've been through very much my fair share of hurricanes being, South Florida native, so, I mean, trust me, man, it's terrible when you're not prepared, or when your own government is not prepared or just doesn't care to help you, and you're basically left to fend for yourselves, which is what people are doing now over here. I mean, in fact, heck, they're using donkeys, mules, to go ahead and get equipment. Yeah. So yeah, there's a couple of videos over here. I mean, heck, we're back to going to horses and donkeys. So I may need to change out my hat over here. There we go.
And you know what's crazy? We just had a strike at our port a couple days ago, only lasted 2 days.
Yeah.
But it caused people to go crazy.
Yeah, we'll be talking about the port strike in a little bit over here, because this could have been even worse. I mean, talk about bad timing. So, long story short, the ILA, or the International Longshoremen Association, already had it in their contract that in 6 years they were going to redo the contract. That 6-year timing just happened to coincide with October 1st, 2024, with everything else going on at the same time. So, of course, it was bad timing, and of course it was just bad optics on their end, which was probably the main reason why they postponed it until later on. But we'll be going back into that, because right now, supply chain, infrastructure, logistics has been the number one biggest problem in this country for a long time, but especially since 2020 is when the whole house of cards just came down. I mean, we're going back to the 1870s over here with horse and mules taking stuff.
Yeah, 1820s,
yeah.
Actually. 1820s. Trains started popping crazy around the 1830 all the way through the 1890s, like from that period.
Oh, yeah. But I'm just any dates, because I mean you still had trails and stuff, and people taking stuff like the Chisholm Trail and places like that, like in rural Texas, Oklahoma. I mean still this is just crazy. But I mean so people are doing some good things, and it's again coming from citizens of the United States, not necessarily the government. It's coming from you, the people, we, the people, that are going down there to help them. So there's a great organization called Operation Airdrop, which I've been pushing. And I don't want any super chats, guys. Just if you can, go to the link and donate, even if it's just $1, $2. I know we're all tight. Everybody is tight, but
I know.
It's just better that dollar or $10 goes to them rather than it goes to taxes or something like that. That will be blown up somewhere. So I mean, look at this. There you go. This is what we can do as a country. When push comes to shove, we can get things done. Okay, and of course, there's local governments that are helping out, whether it's fire rescue, some of the county sheriffs, and things like that. That's absolutely good. It's again, we just need to bring back government to being beholden to the people rather than being against it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But also, I'm really concerned about the rail system up in North Carolina. You're going to have trucking company and crooked people who hate trains going to try to screw the railroads over up there now that this happened.
Yeah, I mean, the whole infrastructure is just getting messed up. I mean, it's not just trains. I mean, even the truckers are also getting messed. I think at this point, nobody's going to try to mess with the infrastructure as much right now. But I mean, there's been reports, and it's been happening, of tires getting slashed, of truckers taking stuff over to North Carolina for relief. So that's been happening too. So I mean,
it might be crazy, but I think FEMA the one who is slashing tires on trucks, because I found out from a couple of people that they've been taking food and supplies from volunteer from other state and using it for their own self.
Yeah.
So I think FEMA have something a little bit behind this, because trust me, you can't trust FEMA.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely not. Okay, and I've had my fair share with FEMA too. All they'll do, and I remember this in one of the hurricanes. I think it was Wilma, back in 2005. They basically just set up a little thing in some high school gym and just had like little pre-made packets of stuff, but they didn't do anything. They weren't out there on the streets helping anybody or looking for anything. They just, did the bare minimum, even below the bare minimum, and just went off. So again, guys, Operation Airdrop, the website's in there. They're right now transitioning to helping more in the ground efforts, and they're still getting stuff over through air where there isn't any access either by road, by railroad, or anything right now. So if you want to help the supply chain, you want to help the infrastructure right now in America, this is one way that you can do it. So just head on over there. I don't want any super chats for at least a good while. Whatever you have, just, and again, $5. Just see if you can just donate to them if you can. But
and I agree with you, Bud, because heck, I just lost my dog about a week ago. Last Sunday he died. So
oh man, my condolences.
Rough.
Yeah, it just sucks when dogs die, man. It really does.
Well, he was 15 years old.
Man.
He eventually happened.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking at Hans every other so often. I'm like, it's at any day now. I mean, he's going on 15, 16 years old. So, man.
My kicker is I raised him since birth.
Oh man.
Even harder when you raise that dog since they were born.
I know. You got to look at it this way. You were there for their entire life. They may have been for a part of our lives, but you're there for his whole life.
But yeah, but right now with what's going on here in Charleston, I'm right now trying to form some groups, and also we're going to try to get them facts and some stuff to try to sabotage their plan, because one, we got a 10-year period. It'll both be a 10-year period before they move the port down to the paper mill. So they gave us too much time so we can work with,
Yeah. You got to keep going there. Go to those whatever meetings, commission meetings. Heck, even if it's a meeting, just a regular DOT meeting, even if they're just talking about whatever BS. If it's something that you're available and you can coordinate, 3, 5, 10 people to go there and make your voice heard, go ahead and do it. Because it's eventually going to annoy them, and it's going to say, okay, fine, maybe we should not do this at all. So
because right now in January, I'm going to go because we got a model train show coming in June. What I'm going to do, I'm going to talk to some of the guys there at the fairground while we're at the model train show, and I'm going to get them in on my plan. And what we're going to do is document everything, saying because they're trying to save the fairground because they're trying to put the end of the bus line there, and they are protesting against it.
yeah.
So we're trying to build up enough evidence to try to stop them and get them back on the right track, because they're already train track going from downtown Trenton to downtown Somerville. The infrastructure already partially there.
Yeah, it's just connecting the rest, getting it updated, upgraded. Doesn't take that much money to go ahead and get that done. Doesn't take that much time. It's no, man, it's just terrible. I mean, like speaking of this, like with FEMA, people are using drones to get stuff in and out. I mean, this has been pretty cool so far of what I've been seeing, and I've been using drones a lot in my area of work, so I definitely know what these things are capable of. Again, small little payloads, nothing that large or anything like that compared to what a helicopter or a prop plane can take. But any little bit, if there's somebody over there, or if you're using it to go ahead and recon the area to try to find missing people or survey any sort of damage, invaluable.
Oh, yeah.
Invaluable.
Even stranded people too.
Oh yeah.
But right now I'm been talking to some of the guys spreading the word, because the plan is to start spreading the word. Once we get enough people to know, we're going to go on to phase 2 with making groups and stuff on Facebook, Discords and stuff, and we're going to try to build it up to the point where we're going to have to make them no choice but to cancel the BRT and go with the light rail or commuter rail instead.
Yeah, let's definitely I definitely want to get more information on that, man.
Because here, Zane, the BRT that they're building, it being paid by the car dealership and the car companies in the area. Because they don't want the commuter rail system here, because let's be honest, if you have a commuter rail system in a city where you have a bunch of car dealerships, I can guarantee most of those car dealerships will go out of business in a heartbeat.
I say yes and no, because the problem is that whenever they build light rail in the United States, it's nowhere near to the extent that it needs to be to get that many people out of their cars. Because I mean, I've gone through enough light rail systems in the United States and large metro systems that it's not taking people out of their cars. We haven't built anything so robust enough. Maybe New York has something that's so robust that you can be able to not use your car, but yeah, I mean, like even someplace like LA that has a more robust light rail and heavy rail system, I mean, it just doesn't really go to the places that people are going to work from or live at to just be able to use it as much. I mean, it's a step in the right direction.
It is, but the car companies, they know it and did what they prey on,
Yeah, which is why they're pushing it down.
And the thing is, we have like downtown to downtown, and the train tracks that are already there, they're owned by Norfolk Southern, but they go through mostly every neighborhood that go from downtown Charlton to downtown Somerville. But they go right by the airport too. They go by the colleges, because we got a clapload of colleges here in Charleston, a ton of university, and it go right along there, so it would have been very useful. And the thing is, I'm going to bring it up, the car company, they know this. And back in 2019, when they talked about this, the car company, they freaked out about it, because we got something here in Charlton in the area let's actually call the Motor Mile. And the reason why it called the motor mile, because we got over 20 car dealerships on that area, with giving it nicknamed the motor mile.
Yeah. No, every city's got something like that where you go, like, cause I know in here in Indianapolis, like you go to Shadeland Avenue and there's going to be at least a good mile or two of car dealerships. Like every city's got something like that.
Well, the car dealership, they're super big. Then we have a super big one right in the area of Goose Creek where the line is going to connect to. And the dealerships are so big, I guarantee the people who own them make probably $1 million a week.
Yeah.
Because of how big they are.
Right.
And I mean, they're big, big. So they have enough money to, get, stuff in the city done. Like, they own the city.
Yeah. All right, David, let's get back on here on the what's going on.
Yeah.
And then let's then we'll get back to what's going on over in Charleston. But yeah, I mean, look, it's gotten to the point that people are using their own helicopters. Somebody's got an Mi-8, an old Soviet Mi-8 that they privately owned that's getting in supplies over there. I mean, that's just it's like, it's Metal Gear Solid, like you're gonna see like a Hind or something like that at some point. It's like, are we being invaded or are we being helped? But yeah, I mean, look, people are just taking it upon themselves to go ahead and fix this. So I mean, it's getting to the point that's the problem with our government right now, is that they've just been doing things purposefully. That's the problem. We'll get to that. It's just a little purposefully that they're allowing this to happen, and they're making it worse on purpose, which it almost got a lot worse because of this longshoreman strike, which was happening and then didn't happen. So the whole main point of this was that a lot of them didn't feel that they were getting paid, and which, again, granted, none of us are getting paid to the extent that we should be in terms of what happened with inflation in this country. Mm-hmm. But they're also very much against the automation that's been going on in the ports. And yeah, for sure, the contracts that they've done with these companies has been pretty unfair, because they've gone ahead and signed contracts to curb automation. The companies running the ports went ahead and did it anyway, and they've automated a good portion of the ports. And yeah, look, I get it. The guy who looks like Tony Soprano and talks like Tony Soprano, who's the head of the longshoreman union. Yeah, I mean, the dude gives off a bad vibe. But compared to, let's say, like Maersk or something like that, yeah, these guys make a crap ton of money. Okay, so yeah, look, it's bad optics all over the place, and it's just sad that the people who are really paying the price for this are not only the actual port workers who really need the money and really do a hard work job to get us the supply chain and get America moving, but even worse are going to be the American people downstream from it that we're already hurting bad enough. And yeah, this could have gone worse. And this was the whole thing about this, because I mean, if you saw the lines of trucks that were stopped from moving any containers or getting any goods or equipment out of the ports, if this could have happened for more than a couple of weeks, this would have, as the to quote unquote the president of the longshoremen, it would have crippled the country very easily.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
They would have crippled.
Yeah. And on the rail end, Union Pacific was working to get as many containers out of there as much as possible right before the strike, because they knew it was coming. It's like, okay, let's move as much as we can out of here before things get really bad. So, I mean, it just goes to show you that how interconnected our system really is, because again, we really strive to upgrade a rail system here, and that's what we push for on this channel. But I mean, because unfortunately our country is not building enough within our country, because we don't have our own supply chain, our own factories building the goods that we need, we're getting them from other countries and across the ocean, so they have to stop at a port at some point, and then from there they'll go on to a truck or a train. But I mean, we could have skipped all that entirely if we had our own built-up infrastructure and our own built-up factories and supply chain here in this country.
And we did.
Yeah.
We did have that, but that was all destroyed from corruption, people being cheapskates, people don't want to pay their workers properly. And that's the kicker.
Yeah.
They'll try to find any way to save money and keep it going from them instead of their workers.
Yeah, and it's they've either offshored, exactly, and then they've offshored factories over, so whatever sort of jobs that used to be, 20s and 30-year-old men that used to be able to work a factory job, be able to own a home, be able to support a family, we don't have that anymore. I mean, it's been rough for us. In our age demographic and for who we are in this country, it's been pretty rough. It's something that shouldn't be happening. We're more than capable to be able to create our own factories, create our own products, create our own jobs over here, but companies have been able to lobby to offshore these for decades. I mean, the last time a longshoreman port strike happened was in the 70s. And it didn't really affect much of the economy. It didn't really make a blip. Why? Because most of our products were still coming from within our own nation. We didn't have to go ahead and import all this stuff. This was mostly stuff that was exported. It's like, okay, well, too bad for them. We still have our own economy that we don't have to import.
Sad reality, it wasn't until the late 80s and mid 90s that started changing,
Yeah.
Like, the kicker is that it began in the late 80s, early 90s when all the crap started going down,
Yeah,
and
it started. Yeah, I would say it started to tick in the 60s, and then it really started to ramp up in terms of the offshoring really a lot in the 80s and 90s, and especially after China got into the World Trade Organization during the Clinton administration. That was basically no, and it opened up the door mainly to American companies, because we've been sold out by the companies within our country. We've been sold out because they knew that it would be a heck of a lot cheaper to go ahead and move these factories over to China, where they can pay a fraction of what they would pay an American.
Mm-hmm. And it like the whole thing, like, here, Jane, this should have been illegal,
Yeah.
This should have been illegal. Should have been, let's be honest, I might sound crazy for this, but this should have been treason. That's what it should have been.
No, it is, because it's even worse because, let's put it this way, there are many different ways to kill a person, right? And taking away a person's livelihood, taking away their method of self-sustaining themselves is, in a sense, a form of murder. And when you do that to your own countrymen, that is a sense of treason. It seems kind of roundabout, but when you put two and two together, it does make a lot of sense that that's what it is. It's you're selling out your own country, you're backstabbing your own nation for your own personal profit, and that's wrong. You cannot do that. It's
in my wife's home country, the Philippines, if you do something like that, it counted as treason there.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I think there's a difference between big governments and strong governments. You can have a small, strong government, but if you have a big, lumbering, dystopic, and honestly, as you say, David, a treasonous government, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm. We're at to the point where we might, in our lifetime, we might have a civil war.
Yeah, it's going possible. I mean, there was like reports of I don't know how real it is because it kept going, and people can say something on Twitter from a large account, and it will spread like wildfire without any sort of confirmation. But somebody said that there was a FEMA director that got beat up somewhere in Appalachia after denying supplies from coming in.
It's been confirmed.
I mean, confirmation to me is having like a Time magazine picture of the year picture of a FEMA director being hung and quartered on a tree. That would be confirmation for me. But everybody's got phones, everybody's got videos. Where is this confirmation, man? I want to see it.
Because one thing I've been following the YouTuber called JD, and good God, FEMA is doing people dirty up there, and I know the reason why. They're tricking people into signing their land over, which is beyond evil.
We're almost there. We're getting there. We're close to getting there. But again, this is saying, you know, again, our government can be able to stop stuff. Like, right, DeSantis in Florida said the strike is not happening. He said like the National Guard and the State Guard that just got started up in the state of Florida again would have intervened in the port strike, because again, Florida was hit hard by the hurricane. Again, not as hard as some of these other states, because there's a lot of preparation that's been done in Florida where Floridians were used to this sort of stuff. But yeah, there's still towns that have been destroyed, especially along the Gulf Coast of Florida, completely leveled. And this is a bad time to do a strike. It doesn't look good, especially when, you know, supplies need to get moved around. No, you're not doing the strike when we're in a state of emergency, folks. So, you know, that's I would say that's a good thing to be doing. I would say I would agree with that. That needs to get done. You want to do a strike, fine. Do it when people are a little bit, not when they're underwater and when there's towns flooded up in Florida. Not a good time. Not a good time.
Yeah, even in North Carolina and Tennessee. Like, I have family up in Tennessee and North Carolina.
Yeah.
So, it's a crazy, but here's the thing. Like, they're doing us dirty, and I will say that in our lifetime, we might have a civil war.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible, because, I mean, tensions are just getting higher and higher. I mean, at least
people are getting sick and tired of the government too.
Yeah, I mean, this could have been, I would say, less of a black swan event, but at least another straw that was going to be on the camel's back for here. To just keep on the analogy, because this port strike that's now been pushed over to January 15th, if I recall correctly. I mean, you had 45,000 people, 36 ports, 14 major marine hubs all over the East Coast and the Gulf Coast. I mean, that would have, again, 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, people were already freaking out. I mean, we started seeing toilet paper again going like if it was COVID all over again. People were taking as many pallets of toilet paper as they could out of Costco or anywhere else, or people were filling up gas cans in their cars because they didn't know where this was going. You know, it's already bad enough with inflation. Like we said last stream, okay? I can't afford food or rent. That's the whole thing of this election right now. People can't afford stuff.
Heck, and here, Jane, we know both people are bad. Like here, Jane, Kamara, we're screwed if Kamara get in office. If she get in office, you can guarantee the country is doomed.
Yeah, no, it's obvious who to vote. I don't even have to say it anymore. It's like you guys. It's a simple matter. It's a simple answer at this point. I mean, come on. This is just ridiculous. I mean, and this is the thing, is that we're just so on the point. This is the problem when people say that there was larger issues, or you know, how the ILA could have crippled the economy. That's the problem, is that we're so dependent on imports to this country because we don't make anything anymore. Our country's already broken as it is. Our infrastructure's crumbled. And whenever the government comes to do anything to fix anything, they don't fix it. In fact, they make it worse half the time because, again, there's been so many reports about FEMA confiscating donations, or you know, stopping people from going ahead and getting in. Now, whether this is true or not, the problem is that people are saying this all over the place. So there's a lot of truth to this, and it's believable. That's the problem, is that if it becomes believable, this wouldn't, you know, back in the 1940s or anything like that, you know, sure, there were false flags and there were stuff like that, but I guarantee you most people back in December 7th, 1941, would not have thought that the United States government would have caused Pearl Harbor. Now, there's a lot of truth, and with enough information now, we know that the government basically allowed it. but it would have been absolutely out of people's minds. I mean, even back during the time of 9/11, it would have been out of people's minds that the government would have caused 9/11. Now, I'm not going to go into that because there's plenty of information on that. But if you were to say that the government caused harm to its own people now, that the U.S. government would do that, most people believe it. And that's the problem, is that the Overton window has changed to such a degree that people will readily believe, and it is absolutely viable, that the government can and would hurt and sabotage its own people and its own nation's infrastructure purposefully. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so whether it's real or not, or whether FEMA, let me see if I can find this video. All these, look, I don't know if you guys remember that one video where all these networks, all these TV networks were saying, you know, this is a danger to our democracy, and they were all saying it lockstep. This was like back in 2017. All these NPC news anchors just saying the same thing over and over again. Same thing now with all these other organizations, and now saying viral posts claiming FEMA is running out of funds to help hurricane survivors because it spent the money to house undocumented migrants are false. And it's every single third party and local newscasters saying the same exact thing. This is just nuts. This is happening. Again, you know, FEMA can say whatever it is. We're not believing it. Nobody's believing it. We're all seeing it, and we see the results is that people are hurting and people are not getting in. I mean, if you have Elon Musk is saying, because he can't even get his Starlink systems in there. They're actively blocking shipments, seizing goods and services locally and locking them away to state that they are their own. And look, you can think whatever you want of Elon Musk, but he's done a lot of good stuff too. I mean, in terms of trying to bring back American infrastructure and our own space program back over here. He's done a lot of stuff. Look, I have my things with Elon Musk, but I would see him more as at least the stuff that he's doing is not trying to kill me. Let's put it this way. Elon Musk doesn't want to kill me. And in my book, at this rate in 2024, that's a good thing. If you're not trying to kill me, that's fine.
He technically, I'm going to say it, he technically an anti-hero, is what we're going to say.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
If Elon Musk really wanted to get the country back on, he would try to build his own train.
Yeah.
That would be the thing to get people on his side.
Well, to talk about his own train, so that I was going to leave this closer towards the end, but and Elon Musk has completely dropped the Hyperloop. He's not even involved with it anymore. But for the poor silly billies that have kept on and are believing that this is going to be the future. A Dutch company has tested their Hyperloop to go get ready, a speed of 30 kilometers an hour. 30 kilometers. They completed their first full-scale test over a very short distance. The vehicle traveled 90 meters at a speed of almost 30 kilometers. So for those of us in American speak, 90 meters is about, I would say, give or take 87 yards. So we're not even talking 300 feet. And 30 kilometers an hour is about what? 18? Not even 20 miles an hour. Not even.
That is slow. That is slow as a turtle.
Wait. I just threw this piece of paper a heck of a lot faster than 30 kilometers an hour. So there you go, faster than the Hyperloop. So anyway, that was just a little bit of thing, but yeah, I mean, look at this devastation. So and Musk went ahead and tweeted, the SpaceX engineers are trying to deliver Starlink terminals and supplies to devastated areas in North Carolina right now. FEMA is both failing and to help and won't let others help. This is unconscionable. They took this video just a few hours ago where you can see the level of devastation. Roads, houses, electricity, water supply, and ground internet connections completely destroyed. FEMA wouldn't let them land to deliver critical supplies. My blood is boiling. Which is what a lot of people are. This is a valid reaction from everybody right now. If your blood isn't boiling from hearing this and seeing this, I don't know. But this is just terrible.
I think it's time. To be honest, I think it's time for us to charge FEMA with some criminal charges. You know, I think it's time.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
no, this is just. I mean, and everybody is saying this, so I mean, and it's not just Musk. So here's another video.
Is on the way.
Like the
It's the
fact
sound
is,
of
and I'm going to bring it up. The fact is that FEMA is doing this is just effed up. They need to be criminally charged for this stuff because this is criminal activity right here.
Yeah, and I mean, this is not just, you know, Elon Musk saying it. This is just, you know, people on the ground are saying this. Let me see if I can find that one pilot who was basically almost arrested for saying that if he keeps flying in there to help people out, he's going to be arrested. Let me see if I can find that somewhere. I know I have a billion.
There was one person turned away. There was one helicopter turned away because of a fire chief. You know?
Yeah. I mean, that's. I mean, people are dead, dying, and in need of help. Yeah, no, you can't be doing this.
Oh, you got that right. And here's the thing. I'm going to be honest about this. Is that, you know, it's probably going to be, I'm going to bring it up, it's definitely going to be a Trump victory this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping so, man. Look, at the very least, it's what, 2 years where I can at least afford, where eggs are not $3.97 at Aldi. And I keep saying this to people, but just one small thing. In July of 2020, a dozen eggs that I saw at my local Aldi, 87 cents. The last time I went there 2 weeks ago, $3.97 for a dozen eggs. No,
I remember when
it's messed up.
I remember back in 2012, not 2012, but 2020, when I first started working at Walmart. Milk was only $1. Now it's almost $3.25.
Yeah. No, it's insane.
PO 89, the silver meteor just passed, or not the silver meteor, palmetto, my bad. But it is crazy because we know who faulted it, and we do not need another year of their party in office.
No. It's not. Look, we can't even look. It's taking our own people to go ahead and fix this. It's like, you know, the government has spent more money. Forget the debt. I mean, the debt is what? Last time I checked, what, 35 trillion? Not even 38 trillion. What is it now? 40, 50 trillion? 100 trillion? I mean, at this point, that's never going to get paid. You kidding me? And look, these people are helping themselves. FEMA saying, "Oh, we don't have any money," so it's up to, you know, locals to go ahead. Private citizens using their own helicopters for aid. People cooking food for the local community. I don't see one, you know, FEMA helicopter. Heck, we don't even see any sorts of the National Guard isn't even there.
I know, and it messed up because it should not be that way, you know?
Yeah. No, it's just let me see if I can get, what's his face? Mr. Pete. Where's our friend Mr. Pete here? I know I have a video of him saying that we're starting to block flights that disrupt what's going on. Here we are.
Our goal is to make sure that funding is no obstacle.
It messed up. Now, I do want to bring something else up, if I can remember it.
Temporary flight restrictions to make sure.
Okay, so there's he's putting temporary flight restrictions for any flights or drone activities in the area. But here's the reality: is that this was one screenshot of over at Asheville, North Carolina, of every single flight that's going on. These are all helicopters, all rotary aircraft. This is all the aircraft. Here's the only federal or military aircraft. 3. 1, 2, 3. Out of several dozen aircraft. We have the largest, most advanced military in the world. Where is our own military on our own soil? Where? Just 3 3 measly helicopters you send versus the you know, the hundreds that are not even, well, whatever, the dozen that are out there. I mean, granted, yeah, we're talking about, you know, double rotary or Iroquois or what, but you know which helicopter I'm talking about, the one that's to my brain's blanking out right now. But you know, again, yeah, can they carry more? Yes. So there should be more of them. Those should be the helicopters that should be bringing in at least what they can carry a massive payload on those helicopters, and they're not sending that many. Instead, they're deploying the National Guard. I think the 82nd's now being deployed over to Poland or to the Middle. They're deploying them either to the Central Europe or to the Middle East. For the two countries that are at war, that we've given millions of dollars for. That's the problem. I mean, it's just nuts, man. You know, our own country that needs help. We need to be building our own infrastructure over here. And the government has basically done everything that they can to do this. Now, to David, to what you were talking about, the supposed lithium mining. So this is a quick video, 1 minute 34 seconds. This is one, you can say theory as to why they're not really helping anybody over here in this part of the country.
Suspicious as shit that one of the areas affected by Hurricane Helene
Like,
is the world's largest lithium deposit, and
they
the DoD
found
just
massive
entered into an agreement
lithium
with this company right
deposits,
here
that for
to
sure.
mine lithium for
Yeah.
electric cars starting in 2025. Now,
So, and one of the other things that they were, there was a lot of public disagreement in the area against this sort of mining because it was going to mess up the community. Now, granted, we should be mining here in this country. There's a way to do it, but the problem is that they were basically wanting to wipe out the entire town in order to set up this mine, and they basically got what they wanted to the point that, oh, look, we can go ahead and, you know, tell people to leave their homes. Let me see if I can find that. Waynesville, North Carolina, small business owners who lost everything received these notices from the government yesterday. The notice says they can't start repairs without purchasing permits and getting assessments from the government. So they're getting stuff like this to make it as difficult as possible to get back into their home, basically inserting any form of red tape possible to make it to the point that people are not going to go back to their homes and say, you know what, I'm not going to do this. I'm already in debt. I can't go ahead and get any of these permits. I'm leaving. I'm gone.
And did it dirty right here. Did to be criminal charges right here.
Yeah. So again, what you were saying, yeah, what's going on in Chimney Rock? It's a possibility. Yeah. Again, is it believable? Yeah, that's the problem. It's believable.
And you know, kicker is Chimney Rock is a tourist town, massive tourism, and it's not even an hour from Asheville.
Yeah.
And they're doing this stuff beyond disgusting, you know.
Yeah.
But
it's terrible.
But here, Jane, I'm going to bring up, there are some people in our transit community that we might need to deal with because they're support with you know who that they want for president. Well, I hate to break it to them that she does not support transit.
No, she's not. Honestly, I'd rather the corpse that's in office right now, if he's even still there, over her, because at least look and look, I kind of feel sorry for him because at this point it's like he's so done and out of it. It's obvious. I mean, we've been saying it for years, and it only took until the debate for people to start freaking out who hasn't seen our current president in charge right now, to see him so out of whack that there's no way that he can run it. But you know, I'll give him credit that, yeah, or at least he says that he's a friendly over to rail transit and transit in particular. But I mean, there hasn't been that much movement compared to the previous 4 years in terms of transit. Honestly, I would dare to say that there was a heck of a lot more forward movement between 2016 and 2020 than there has been between 2020 and 2024. So I'd rather go back to that. I want more movement, not less.
And here's the crazy thing. people, when you remember when we debated about why I always called people out who complain about California high-speed rail but never complain about Interstate 69. If people want to know something, if they want to know why it took California for so long to get started with the high-speed rail project there, they could blame it on Camara. It's her fault, actually. People don't realize that she was one that caused it to take so long.
All right. Keep cooking, man. Keep cooking.
Like, literally. And also, she was the reason why California is a crap show as it is.
Yeah,
Am I right?
It's just, again, you will judge them by their fruits. Just look at what's going on. Look at the difference between Florida and California. Look at the difference now that a Floridian company, a Floridian private company that already went and built a high-speed rail or higher speed rail system, whatever you want to give it. They still built their own infrastructure. They still built a train that goes over 100 miles an hour, 125 miles an hour, and it's working. And it's been working for more than several years, and at least a year between Miami and Orlando. And they're going to build one between Las Vegas and, the greater Los Angeles area. While California, meanwhile, still can't finish off the Central Valley. They still haven't put in one single piece of rail. That already, Brightline West has already been going ahead and getting they're already getting the contracts written up. They're already getting who's going to be running the equipment and everything else. California still hasn't done that. We still don't know who's going to be running the rolling stock in California, whether it's Siemens or Alstom.
Alstom for Brightline West. They're using the Pioneer set.
The what?
So the Pioneer set, the one that being built by the same people who built Brightline trains, Siemens.
Right.
Siemens is one who built in the high-speed rail train set for Brightline West.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like we already know that for Brightline West. We don't know that for California.
Now, I do have a tangent on a fellow transit YouTuber that we got to call out named Banks Rail, because he said something that me and Brightline even called it out last week on live stream, but he said something that I did not agree with, that it's total BS. He's talking about how Brightline is going to eventually fail because it's a private high-speed or a private inner-city train. He talked about it and saying that that government, government-funded rail that is run by the government is going to do better. No, it ain't.
No, we've already discussed this. It's less to do with whether it's a private or public company running the company. It's who's behind it, because you can have something like SNCF, which is for a government run company, that's pretty all right. They do make a profit. Even Amtrak in some areas can make a profit, but outside of the Northeast Corridor, no, they're pretty bad. And even the Northeast Corridor themselves, they're not anywhere near a world-class train operation. Let's put it that way. They're you can't compare them to the French, the Germans, the Japanese. Heck, I would say they're even below Britain in terms of operating a passenger rail system. But that's the problem. It's not the tool themselves, but the person behind the tool. Granted, there are better tools, but Amtrak, not really the best.
But let me bring it up about Banks Rail. He literally said that the predecessor of Brightline for the East Coast, he talked about how they used to do the same, run passenger trains and used to have land by their rail line that they sold. He said that Brightline doing the same thing and it's going to fail. No, it won't.
Yeah.
Reason why, and I'm going to bring it up, the reason why Patent Rail and Dig Country failed was because of our government. Am I right? It was the government's fault for allowing the, FRA, or not the FRA, but the Interstate Commerce Commission from, regulating the rail line to hell and back.
Yeah, it was definitely overregulation. So the thing was that the railroads were allowed to go ahead and exist through during the building of the West, they were able to go ahead and buy up massive amounts of national land because the government allowed them to. So if you allow private corporations to go ahead and do something that's going to be ultimately good for the nation, yes, that's where government can go ahead and actually lend a hand. Which is what happened in Florida. Again, it's the government allowing a private corporation that has the will and the power to do what's necessary to be able to help move the state forward and the people forward. If they can allow them to do that, yes, that's good. And that's why Brightline is more or less a success story. Because you have a private company that has the means and the efforts and the infrastructure available, and a government that is supportive of it. That's what you need.
And the thing is, with Banksrail, he got it in his mind saying, oh, it's not going to work having a private company own a patent rail and sell land on the side. In his head, that he thinks the government, if Brightline fell, is going to bring Amtrak in and run it.
No,
like,
that's not happening in Florida. He's
a YouTuber. You know who I'm talking about, don't you?
I kind of do, but I here's the thing, David. I don't want to get too much into YouTube drama until a little bit later. I'm trying to get back into the game now, and then I'll be getting into the drama. Let's put it that way. I'll get enough.
I know, but I got a good point right there. Don't I?
Oh yeah, but let's put it this way: if you need somebody in your corner, yeah, I'm in your corner, man. I agree with you, but you throw the punches in for this one. I'll join you later.
I'm thinking about making a video, calling his video out and criticizing some of the stuff he got wrong. You know?
Go ahead, do it. Yeah.
Because I might think about doing that.
Yeah.
Because guy need to be called out. He think government is good. Plus, he a supporter of Camaro. I'm sorry. I hate to say it, anybody in the transit community who support her is an idiot. They're an idiot. They don't know what they are getting into.
Now, let's talk about somebody that does really need to be called out, because this is what really angers me a lot in this country, and it should anger anybody who watches this. This is literally in the same clip. This is not a joke. Here is Senator Lindsey Graham, a U.S. Senator for the United States of America, okay, for South Carolina, immediately after a hurricane where South Carolinians got destroyed and hurt here as well. This is what he says.
My senator.
Yeah.
Freaks.
You know, I've been going all over South Carolina. Like most people hadn't slept much. But look what's going on in Israel.
It's crazy, ain't
Look what's going on in Israel. This is what he literally said that. Wait, one more time.
People hadn't slept much. But look over South Carolina, like most people hadn't slept much. But look what's going on in Israel. Our friends in Israel surrounded by people that want to kill them, destroy them, a second Holocaust in the making.
Oh, man. I mean, look, this is what makes it even worse. They literally have the footage of what's going on in North Carolina, and probably in South Carolina too. You have a fair amount of destruction, very much. Oh, yeah. And he's going on in the same sentence. He can't even. Yeah, it was bad here in South Carolina, but look what's going on in Israel. Do we really need? It's literally the Holden blood feast meme in a sense. Wait, hold on. Here's another thing. Here's a meme that somebody put out.
Hey, Dave! Where do you think you're going?
I must help save Israel!
What? This is what I'm talking about, David, and this is what we all know about. It's like our money's not even going to us. We're paying basically taxpayer money to not help American. Not even the government. It's not even our government that it's going to. It's going to another foreign government. So this. It's either the guy that wants more missiles or the other guy that wants more missiles. It's some foreigner wearing Ranger green, some foreigner midget coming over to ask me for taxpayer money to go ahead and fund his war. Dude, there's people, my countrymen, there are neighbors that are being flooded that can't even get help, and you want missiles? We can't even build a freaking for the amount of money that we spent. And let me see if we can find. Let me see if there's a. I know there's a tweet here somewhere. Here we are. So far this year, the United States has given $24.4 billion to Ukraine, $11.3 billion to Israel, nearly $2 billion to Ethiopia, $1.6 billion to Jordan, $1.4 billion to Egypt, $1.1 billion to Afghanistan, which we basically ran out of there with our tail between our legs, and gave them a whole bunch of free military equipment on top of that. $1.1 billion to Somalia. This is just nuts. With how much money we spent so far on every other country, we could have been able to build within 5 years a nationwide network of high-speed rail, passenger high-speed rail, the best in the world, easily.
Yep, PO 98, the silver meteor just passed.
Oh man, but dude, this is just nuts. I mean, it's infuriating. This is money that could have been helped on in saving us in building up this nation, and it's purposefully being thrown away. Purposefully.
Oh, I know. And here's the funny thing is that there are high-speed rail projects that could have been happening. Heck, it's just that we got people who are so dumb and who love cars like it's a drug. It ain't even freaking funny anymore, you know?
Yeah, I mean, speaking of, so that's the thing. It's like the pet project of the American government trying to push in electric cars. So funny enough, because of this hurricane, a lot of electric cars have been bricked and bursted into flames because of the salt water, especially in Florida. So I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I don't know. I think Elon should be getting to fixing that, because this is the thing why I probably won't ever own a Tesla. Is because of this. So, chemical reaction. I don't know if you guys have ever been to chemistry class, but if you ever throw an alkali metal like lithium or potassium in water, it is hilarious what happens. Exactly. So, when you have a whole bunch of cells of lithium batteries underneath, right in salt water, electrolysis plus redox reaction, there you go. This is this chemistry 101 right there. So yeah, I don't think we should be pushing for electric cars. We can't even get our electric system working. I mean, there's been we've all heck, I've had the electricity gone over here for a couple of hours while I was out of work from after the storm passed, because they were working on some other grids that had gone down in Indiana. This is how far this hurricane has impacted, up to Ohio and Indiana. I mean, it's
crazy. It's just crazy. Also, we're at the point where, and I actually watched it from one of a fellow transit member, Alan Fisher. He brought up in one of his videos that our electric infrastructure is so bad and aging so bad because of boomers and NIMBYs, that we might have a new cargo type for trains. The new cargo type is electricity, like electric cargo. Ain't that something?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could have, because there's now one of our favorite automakers, Jeep. I can't stand Jeeps and most Jeep owners, because these are mostly pavement princesses. They will never see dirt in their entire lives. They may see snow upside down when it snows 1 inch, and I've seen plenty of flipped over Jeeps and rubber duckies strewn all over the snow in Indiana. Because people don't know how to drive. But urgent recall of 200,000 hybrid SUVs that can catch fire and explode with even the ignition turned off. Jeep made the announcement Monday after more than a dozen vehicles burst into flames after owners claimed they shut down the hybrids when in park. So it's not even doing anything. There's no salt water or anything like that, because look, you can give the guy who owned his Tesla and it blew up over here in Florida. Okay, yeah, sure. That's that's kind of expected when it gets flooded up. But this is just a Jeep, just parked, doing nothing, and just time to explode. It's
Oh,
time
I
it's
know.
time to blow up. This I mean, we can't even make anything in this country that just doesn't blow up. Now it's like these people have spent what a car that should be maybe $30,000 they'll spend and get into a lease for $70,000-$80,000 for basically a rolling bomb.
Oh, I know. Heck, and here at James, they're trying to they're trying to make battery powered trains. Like Jesus Christ, stop! Electrified the whole U.S. rail system already. Ready?
I mean, 100 years ago, the Milwaukee had it electrified between all through the Rockies.
Oh, I
And
know.
I think that, and this is the sad part of all this. When you put this all together, is that this country could be doing so much more. We could be way far ahead of every other country in terms of infrastructure, and we were. I mean, more than 100 years ago, we this country built railroads that crossed a sea through the overseas railroad in with the Flagler, the Florida East Coast Railroad. I mean, they were able to build a tunnel underneath the Hudson within 4 years, more than 100 years ago. They can't even build that. They can't even do that now. They're still figuring out feasibility studies for the Hudson, for the Hudson Tunnel.
Why can't they? Good God, just stop with the feasibility studies. And here at James, they're saying it's going to take 10 years to complete.
Yeah, 10 years. 10 years.
Ridiculous.
The original Pennsylvania Railroad tunnel took 100 years ago, without any of the no computer assisted generated drawings, no GPS, no GIS studies, none of that. They just figured it out and they built it and they got it done to the point that it's still working to this day. Heck, it even survived Sandy and it still has some flood waters in there and it's still working. So you cannot tell me that we're far behind a country that was able to build stuff 100 years ago. I mean, heck, in World War II, they were able to build, within days. Guadalcanal, the airport there, was built within 2 days. Now, granted, the Japanese built a good amount of it, but the United States finished that thing up in 2 days. And to that day, that airport is now still being used as an international airport. So, and we can't even get food and shelter over to the people over in North Carolina and in Tennessee and in Appalachia. We can't even get that done. To the point that my fiance, now every time she hears the train going, by our house, which we're not too far from, we're about maybe a mile away from the CSX tracks over here. She's wondering, we could be the next East Palestine. That's the thing when you see stuff like this, when you see the devastation that has happened in these towns and cities all over the United States, is that could be us any point in time. The government wants to not help us. That could be us.
And you know what crazy in it? I can see the trains from my house. Like, even though we got a tree line that is blocking us from the tracks, we can see the trains coming through the tree line.
Yeah.
That's how close I am to the train.
I look at a picture like this and I'm like, wow, this looks like Nashville, Indiana, and I used to live by there 15 minutes away in Columbus, next to Nashville, Indiana. I mean, that could be anywhere here in Indiana. That could be South Carolina. That could be Florida. That could be destroyed. There are places like that right now in Florida, in North Carolina, in all over the place.
And in my state of South Carolina, too.
Yeah, and that's... It's coming to a head, man. I mean, our infrastructure is on the brink, and it's not just our infrastructure; it's the American soul that is on the brink.
Like, people are finally, because a lot of people finally are getting to the point where they have nothing to lose. And here at Team, once people have nothing to lose, that's when they start revoking and start fighting back.
Yeah. So let's.
Sacrifice is that.
Yeah, man. Let's start moving this into some happier notes and some less away from that. Yeah, and then we'll start taking within 10 or 15 minutes, we'll start taking calls from the audience. But this week, David, was the 60th birthday of Japan Shinkansen.
That I know, like, that amazing, like, see how Japan is doing what we should have been doing long ago.
Yeah. And it's not like these, they of course have, they're prone to natural disasters, even absolutely devastating natural disasters. But there's a difference between how Japan's response is versus the United States response to its own disasters. So, I mean, it's just crazy how Japan has been able to build this. I mean, look at this. I mean, it's just incredible what they were able to build. And actually, between 1958, 6 years it took them, I believe, if I remember correctly, between Osaka and Tokyo. And this was back in the late 1950s, post-war Japan, which was, devastated. They didn't have that much money. They were completely bombed out half the country. Compare that to California in the not even the 20 teens. We're now in the 2020s, and California still hasn't even built anything.
I know.
But yeah, look at what they built on top of that. I mean, we'll be celebrating 120 years of the Shinkansen, and California still wouldn't have the Central Valley done. I would not. I'd be. That's the thing. It's believable. I think this is where the stream has come to, is that, like, yeah, that's believable. I could see that happening, and not even bat an eye. But I mean, I've been on this system, on the Shinkansen. It is absolutely as amazing as you read about it, as you see about it. It is fantastic. So, and this is a nice article. 60 years on, Japan's high-speed rail network still puts Britain to shame. Again, it's from the Telegraph in the UK, so they're taking it from a British perspective. I mean, yeah, even the British are upset about, what's happening in this country. But yeah, it puts us to shame for sure. That's...
Oh, I'm sure. That's for sure.
I think we talked about this. Amtrak, MTA, New Jersey Transit releases doubling Trans-Hudson train capacity at New York Penn Station engineering feasibility study. Just build the darn things already. It's going to take until 2035 until they build it, and that's at the earliest. It's just ridiculous with the technology that we have access to, that we can't even do this, because the original Pennsylvania tunnels can take capacity of 24 trains. Yeah, double capacity. According to one of the Gateway's key objectives, is to double passenger train service between New York and New Jersey from 24 to 48 trains per hour or more during peak hours. So back in the 1910s, you can do 24 trains. And we're only talking about now in 2030, yeah, maybe we'll double it, and it's going to take us 10 years to build it. So you're basically building the same thing. Whatever they built in 1912, or whatever it was, we're basically building the same thing, but worse, in 2035. Is that what I'm being told?
Oh, not Brightline, Dimitri. I sent you a meme talking about how bad we are here in the U.S. when they go and they get coffee. Like, it's in chat. Like, I seen.
Oh, okay, yeah, I've seen this before. Let me go ahead and put this. Yep, this is 30 people in the U.S. getting a coffee versus 30 people getting a coffee in France. Yeah, this is true, and I see this all the time over here, man. I mean, the Starbucks line is, especially now, it's the pumpkin spice season. So a major traffic jam could be created because several 20 to 30-year-old females are getting pumpkin spice for $7, which you can do at home.
Yep.
But yeah, meanwhile, over, this, and it's not to say that the French are better or anything like that. No, it's just this is a better idea than this. I don't care which country it comes from. This is better. This is silly. And look at how much concrete and ugliness and disgustingness is just around here.
Oh, I know, and they're still building stuff like that. It's just disgusting.
Yeah. And it's oh man, go ahead.
I will be honest. That meme hit right on a dot right there.
No, it's true, man.
But also, it's not the U.S. that are having problem with passenger rail. It's Canada. Like, in Canada, like in one of the big cities, they're trying to get rid of half of their commuter rail system.
Yeah, no, Canada. If there's actually, if there's a country that's probably worse, you can say technically first world country that's worse than the United States in terms of transit right now in infrastructure. Yeah, it's Canada.
Because
and their politics. I'm not going to even get started with what's going on in Canada. So, good luck, Canada. Good luck.
The funny thing is, the guy might be removed from office. They're tired of him.
Hey,
So-
let's see what happens.
Hopefully, because he needs to go.
Yeah. Okay. Let me go to what's the next article here? California. Because I will be going to California in the future. Let's put it this way. I'm not going to say exactly what sort of dates or whatever. I'm trying to practice OPSEC over here, but I will be going to California, particularly the Los Angeles area soon. And I'm trying to get up to date with what's going on. So for all of you guys over in California, yes, I'm finally to get to know more about California and Caltrans and everything else there is to do about the California rail system, particularly, well, not just the high-speed rail system, but also the LA Metro, because we'll try to use that and hopefully not die, which we will be talking about. The California High-Speed Rail Authority celebrates 17 new graduates of the Central Valley Training Center Pre-Apprenticeship Program. Okay, that's cool. They've seen 223 students complete the program. I would say this is a good idea. It's I would say less of an apprenticeship program, because if you look at the picture, I mean, I would say maybe the average age here of the graduates, if I were to pick a number out of a hat, it would probably be maybe 32, 33. I mean, it's not really younger guys out of high school. I mean, but this is a good thing, right? You know, training people who want to have jobs and pivoting their careers to building high-speed rail. I think that would be a good thing. Now, what would be even better is if this was completely targeted to, let's say, high school or college, and saying, hey, instead of going into debt, instead of, you know, bumbling around through multiple jobs that aren't going to get you much of anywhere, how about we go ahead and guarantee you a job if you go ahead and go through this training apprenticeship program? And you get not just 223, you get thousands of new workers, American workers, that can be able to go ahead and build the high-speed rail program within, like that. And I think that would be a much better program.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
for sure.
This is what I'm talking about, priorities. I mean, nice idea, but it can be done a heck of a lot better. Because California, for as many years as this project's going to, 11 years, they still haven't purchased enough land for the Central Valley to get this finished. They're still going. We're going to be stuck with talking about the California high-speed rail for a very long time, because they still haven't figured out how to, well, build it, I guess, because, yeah, there's still parcels of land that need to be built. Whether they're going to get them through either buying it or through eminent domain is still of the question, because right-of-way acquisition, bullet train, been one of the thorns of the side of the rail agency, as the authority and its contractors on 3 different construction contracts in the region tweak the designs for structures. Why are we still doing this? You guys have been around since the 1990s, planning this, doing this, and you're still figuring this out?
Oh, I know. And that a big thing. But also, I just sent you the link to what I was talking about in the group chat, and it's talking about EXO. Or not EXO, Montreal commuter rail line. They're trying to replace their commuter rail line with buses.
No, that's it. You can't. Buses do one thing, trains do another. You can't replace one to do the other. That's not how it works.
I know, and people are literally going crazy, and I don't agree with it. Like, literally, they're happy someone paying them to do this, you know?
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about where they're building the current high-speed rail system. is not in any heavily populated area of. This is not Los Angeles. This is the Central Valley. You know, yes, there's still, you know, pretty big cities, but not we're not talking about like these are massive cities with a whole lot of high rises and buildings and concrete for miles and miles on end. We're talking about, you know, pretty sparsely populated areas, flat land. We're not talking about going through mountains or anything like that. This is the Central Valley, not mountains, valley. And it's still taking them so much time to build this.
You know what's funny, Brightline? Or not Brightline, sorry. I've been talking to Genesis lately, but...
No, I get you, man. Don't worry. I've been out of the loop for so long. Don't worry.
But here's the thing. The tracks that they already built in Caltrans, you know, the electrification that they done in San Francisco?
Yeah.
California High-Speed Rail already counted that as their first bit of track.
No, that's not high-speed rail track. That's track for Caltrans. Not.
I know.
That's the thing. They're now trying to cheat themselves a little bit and say, hey, we're going to use that for high-speed. No, that's not true high-speed rail, man. Do your own line.
Oh, I know.
Your own right of way.
They're counting it, but here, Jane, they gotta do something because here, Jane, you got the naysayer who hate trains to the core, and they're literally trying to screw this project over. And we have people who, and I said it earlier, we have people who want to complain about this. Ain't it a boondoggle? No, this ain't a boondoggle. Y'all want to know what is a boondoggle? Interstate 69. They've been building that interstate for almost 70 years. 70 years.
Oh yeah, I don't even want to talk about I-69 because I have to take that for work all the time here for when I had to go to work in Indianapolis, and that deserves its own video because I mean they've been working on 5 years for this one area of an exit. That they're saying, oh, we're going to reduce accidents. There's at least 2 or 3 accidents every day, daily. They say we're going to reduce it from less than 1 accident a day. Well, just in construction itself, you're causing 2 or 3 accidents a day. So I don't think it's going to get any better once you're done.
Oh, Val said, hey.
Hello.
Hey.
You know, me and Val wedding anniversary in next month.
Oh, really? Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, November 2nd.
Yeah.
But it did crazy what's been going on. Plus, Val doing that now. But thing is, and I'm going to say this. Oh my God! Sorry, Dimitri and Val trying to tickle me.
No worries, no worries.
But here, Jane.
Hi,
Jane.
Dima.
But here's the thing, is that there are a ton of interstates that have not been completed that are still being built almost 50, 60 years later, you know?
and it's taking even longer. I mean, it's taken Indiana a pretty long time to build out even portions between Bloomington and Indianapolis. That portion of I-69 it has taken 5 years, and to the point that they've increased the amount of construction projects throughout the state. It used to be 800 in 2016. It is now 15,000 in 2024. And there's not much in terms of what you can say. It's like, yeah, this is really helping. No, it's not. You're causing more disruption. You're causing more chaos. Rather than doing more, focus on doing less and doing it better and doing it faster.
Oh, I know. And here's the thing. There's a project that they've been trying to build since the 1970s called the I-526 project here in Charleston. It will be an interstate extension, but they treat it more like a highway, which is kind of stupid, but they've been talking about it for almost 60 years here in Charleston.
Yeah. It's
another boondoggle in itself.
That's like the Dolphin Expressway down in Miami, the Dolphin Interchange. It's like this whole spaghetti bowl of roads and interchanges and exits that took more than 10 or 15 years to build. I mean, it looked like that project was being done since I was born to about when I left Miami was maybe when it was finished. So a pretty darn long time. It's like, this 11 years of California high-speed rail, and there's nothing to really show for it. They're still doing these community meetings like this is just a brand new idea. They're still showing the CGI train stations. I mean, heck, they're still using like the one with the one render of the Eurostar over here. I mean, like, how long ago that came out? I mean, come on, guys.
It's almost 30 years old.
Yeah, I mean, this is...
Like the Eurostar, the Eurostar turned 30 this year because 1994.
Yeah,
that thing is 30 years old this year because it was set up for the Channel projects back in the 1990s.
I mean, that's the problem. It's just there's a disconnect between what they're doing and the reality of what's actually being done, because we're not seeing results. There's a disconnect between the actual result of this project. There's not really any.
Oh, tell me about it. And the problem is we want to invest in boondoggles like airports. Like, good God. Let me be on about airports. They're a disaster. Am I right?
Yeah, I'm not going to even get into some of the mishaps I've had in airports as of recently, since I've been flying all over the place. So yeah, let's not open another can of worms. I'm already angry enough as it is. Let's try to calm it down.
Like, I remember when you did that whole video exposing American Airlines.
Oh, about Bob Crandall and his involvement with the Floridians against the train, and the anti-Brightline organizations.
I remember all that because that video had aged fine. That video had definitely aged fine.
Oh yeah, no, and it's just gotten worse since then, because we're just seeing more of a. I mean, look what's happened in Texas. What happened to that? There's just so many companies and so many interests that are against the building of any sort of robust passenger rail infrastructure within the country. But at least in Texas, it's starting to come back. There's some sort of revival of the Texas Central Railway project that Amtrak is teaming up. Yeah,
Texas Central.
So
that thing's been brought back from the dead. I can officially say it, but it's off life support now.
Yeah, it's
back live.
I would say this: it's standing up, but let's see if it can start walking and start moving forward, because it looks like it's about to get going. That's the good thing. Again, my only concern is that it's through Amtrak, and that may not go anywhere, depending on how much support it can get. Right. The Texas Department of Transportation is a key partner, so maybe not. I don't know. If this can turn into more of what they were initially talking about as a private-public partnership, there's a good possibility that we can finally start seeing some movement of Texas Central Railway becoming a thing.
And here's the other thing. That other video you made, what actually happened to American Passenger Rail, the one that is 13 minutes long, that video aged very well. Even though that video is 7 years old, it's aged very well because of what it's saying.
Yeah.
You do got to make an updated video of that.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of good videos that need they need to be spruced up to 2024 and 2025 standards. Yeah. We're celebrating our 10th anniversary here at the American Rail Club, and I know that was actually maybe a couple months ago, but we're going to be officially celebrating it within the next couple of weeks. So I'm not going to jinx anything, because anytime I say that I'm going to do something, something terrible happens, or some sort of disruption in my life happens that I can't sit down and get stuff done. But we're here. I now have a comfy place, an actual place that I can, I have my screens, I have my stuff. It's not just about the stuff, it's just about at least having the place where I can have a good state of mind to just sit down and work consistently on something. That's the most important thing.
Now, I am going to start supplying you really soon with some of the train videos I have. So I'm going to start supplying some of the videos from my YouTube channel for you. So you can have some extra stuff for, the background.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Yeah, anything and everything helps. So, yeah, we're definitely getting there.
Because we got to work together on it, man.
Yeah.
And it's up as a YouTuber collab.
Exactly. And this again, it's a club. This is not about me. This is about all of us and about our country, of what we're going to as a whole.
Mm-hmm. And
Okay.
it's up, and I highly agree with.
Yeah. So one last thing before I go into a whole LA sort of thing is, and I talked about this the last time, is that what are we building all these projects for if we don't have a working economy? That is the biggest question that's been on everybody's mind for the last year. It's like, great, this is nice. I can't afford food. Great, that's nice. I can't afford rent or to go anywhere. Because right now there's a big amount of commercial real estate that is sitting empty. That means there's no people working in offices. That means there's nobody that's going to be taking, whether it's a train or a car or a bus or whatever, to go to work. So why build all of this if we don't have people working? Because in places like San Francisco, Atlanta, Chicago, Los Angeles, Seattle, DC, 30%, upwards of 30% of offices are empty. They're just sitting there empty, collecting dust. So San Francisco's 36%, which a lot of people are leaving San Francisco. A lot of people are leaving California in general. So they're building this high-speed rail project to have almost nobody be riding it. Because one, they built it in the Central Valley. Two, they've pushed everybody out of the state of California. And three, nobody's going to want to go there. The only people who are going to be going there are going to be people from Las Vegas to go ahead and see, the destruction that is Los Angeles and then leave on Brightline. They're going to go home to Las Vegas, not go home to Los Angeles from Las Vegas. So this is just it's crazy. I mean, look at this. 30% in Atlanta, 29% in Chicago. Los Angeles is 28.3% empty. Empty. A third of every major office empty. That is crazy. And they're trying to build more. It's like, why? Why are we building this if we don't have anybody working? That's the problem.
And here, Jane, most of it is commercial. Instead of commercial, it should be mixed-use development.
Yes.
That's what it should be.
Now,
my thing is, what we need to do is ban commercial and single-family housing for the next 2 decades and say, look, you can't build the only thing you can build is mixed-use development. Deal with it, or you're be paying fine. Yeah,
within city limits, because you can't be building mixed-use development in a rural area. Let's be very clear about that. I don't want farms being turned into commercial apartment buildings.
Exactly. And I'm talking about a city limit because, look, what happened to the days where we were able to live in an apartment, walk down the street, to our job, or to a grocery store, or to a restaurant, or even a pub to hang out with our friends?
Yeah.
Up with that, right? The car company.
No, and that's another thing. They keep wondering why Gen Z and millennials aren't going to bars. Because we can't. Why? To go into the city, to going through major amounts of traffic, and then what? To go ahead and I'm going to get drunk and then try to drive out of the city? I'm going to drive out of there? Okay, good luck with that. But yeah, here, look at this. So LA Metro authorized a joint development agreement to build transit-oriented development at Metro North Hollywood Station. So that looks like something. They approved $39.6 million expenditure to support public transit. So there we go. That's something. But again, it comes back to, well, do I want to go to the city because I don't work? Well, I finally got some work, but oops, I got stabbed. And I'm dead. Mm-hmm. So that's the other thing. Again, the thing is with 2024 America, be American, don't have a job, take public transit, get stabbed. Man arrested in fatal stabbing of Metro passenger near Universal City Station. So, I mean, this is again, like the last time I said, this is happening more and more every day in America. This is why people don't want to take mass transit in the United States. I would say mainly it stems from a sense of fear of not having enough security. And this is not the only one. It's like, oh, great, I'm going to go to LA. And let me see, more to read. Fatal hijacking of LA Metro bus was a real-life nightmare. I mean, it's one thing to watch the movie Speed. It's another thing to be living in it. So
Here's the problem is because every one of the cities and states that where the crime rate on transit is high are the states that are light on crime.
yeah. It's
Ridiculous.
Let me see. One person stabbed, another injured in altercation on Metro bus in South LA. Terrifying video shows man trying to drag woman into freeway traffic in Pasadena. I mean, oh boy, I'm really gonna enjoy going to. I think I'm just gonna stay in the hotel the whole entire time. I don't know, man. It's like I can't even carry a firearm in California because of their stupid laws.
Oh yeah, that right. Because I'm going to say it because they're woke. It's the woke mindset.
It's California, man. Oh man, but yeah, it's like okay, I want to have a country. It's not just me. We all would like to have a country where we can have a job that can pay well, that we can have a choice between, driving a car that's not going to cost me an arm and a leg or is going to blow me up like these Stellantis Jeeps. I'd like to live in a nice house that's not, completely made out of twigs. Have a family. And if I want to take transit, I don't want to get stabbed.
Exactly.
What is so hard about that? I'd like to I'd like to have a family wage. I'd like to be able to work and have a reasonably good time and not get stabbed. What's wrong with that? That should be a campaign slogan.
And here's something
have
else.
money, don't get stabbed. 2024.
Ooh, that's a good one. But here, Zane, I'm gonna bring it up. Have you noted that most of these cities and states that have high crime rate, what people run them,
Yeah, it's oh man, we can do as much as we can to vote, but at some point, voting doesn't work anymore, because you can't vote a knife out of you. Let's put it that way. Okay, last little bit of not so much good news that we went through, but here's a little bit of good news. Over in the UK, a restored tram on the move again after 67 years. A tram car that ran on the Leeds light rail network in the 1950s has its wheels set in motion for the first time in almost 70 years. The Bluebird originally operated in London in the first half of the 20th century before being moved up to Leeds in 1951. Ferry passengers for 6 years, wound down. The tram car went on to be a museum showpiece. Now it took 10 years, and it took less time than California high-speed rail, and they actually built a train in 10 years. And it took them £500,000. And they have a working train.
I got an interesting article I'm about to put in the chat. And one minute, let me go in because it actually in the live chat right now. I just sent it. It's talking about something in New Jersey.
New Jersey rail regulation bill advances in state senate. I'm not too familiar with this, man.
It did popped up only a couple of days ago. So
here we go. All right. A New Jersey State Senate committee has approved a bill that would require two-person crews for freight trains and setting a maximum length of 8,500 feet for dangerous hazard trains. That's good. This is the sort of stuff that prevents another East Palestine. And it's just common sense. So there we go. Yeah, this is the type of stuff that I've been talking about. Okay, making sure that rail companies are taking responsibility for the stuff that they're carrying and making sure that they're not cutting corners or going past any sort of regulations in terms of because of precision scheduled railroading, they've been skipping out or not doing their. Oh man, what's what I'm looking for? They haven't been inspections. They haven't been inspecting the trains regularly, which is why the equipment is failing. Why you have what happened in East Palestine, where the brakes were failing, they were on fire, and I believe the conductor was the engineer on board was saying, "Hey, we need to stop this train." And Norfolk Southern said, "Nope, keep going," and keep going. They did, to the point that they destroyed a town. So. Yeah, bill introduced in June, passed Senate 6-0 vote. Okay, so there we go. See, we can do stuff in our own state. We can get that done.
We do got another article from New Jersey, but on Amtrak right here. It's brand new too.
All right, let's hold off on the articles because I promised about 20 or 30 minutes ago that we'd be getting to calls in 15 minutes, and it's been but. Let's end it here, guys. Yeah, so it's been, the last couple years have been rough. Okay, we get it, we know, but we're getting through it. We're getting through it. So here's something at least to laugh at here. Here we go. This is most of us here at the club. And I'll put it in the ARC stream as well. But there we go. There's a meme for everybody. What's up, ladies? I'm single and ready to discuss the workings of an average North American railroad system.
Oof.
Alrighty. Let's go ahead and let's bring on the callers over here. So here we are. Minor Tree is on. Let's go ahead and put him on board.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, man. How's it going?
Pretty good. Just a few things. One, I won't mention the fact that the country that built a train system from basically St. Louis all the way over to Sacramento in 6 years, laying on average at their peak up to 14 miles a day, because that would make you mad. I'm also not going to mention the fact that that what's a nice way of putting it? A lot of the people in the transit community has a terrible issue of arguing their positions in bad faith, not just Brink Rail and Alan Fisher and them. If I were to do a tier list, most of them would struggle to hit C tier.
You know what
I totally, I know. I completely understand where you're coming from, man. It's like there's so many good points that can be made, but it's like you said, so many of these bad faith arguments are just brought up, and it just completely, pun intended, derails their entire argument. It's like there's a better way to go about it.
Yeah, I mean, one of the bad arguments I hear against transit is like, trains are so loud. I'm like, yes, they are. According to actual decibel readings, a high-speed train traveling at over 200 miles an hour is about as loud as an 8-lane highway. So 4 lanes in each way.
But for how many seconds?
It's like, what? You're going to hear it for maybe 3 to 5 seconds, including the Doppler effect. And then you're like, all right, even if you do the math, it's like, okay, you would need 8 lanes in each direction for each rail to send the same amount of people per hour. But that would get into the weeds. But even if we just throw all that away, it's like, all right, as a previous point from a previous stream, it's like, all right, you got to move a person or object from point A to point B. Most efficient way, water, then by rail, then by road, then by air, then by rocket. So what do? We deregulated the roads, we deregulated the air. Rockets are still too expensive, but we've basically made it impossible to ship by boat, and the rails have been overregulated, as you pointed out, for decades.
Yeah.
And I keep pointing out, it's like, all right, let's do the deregulations that the roads got back in the 60s or aviation got back in the 70s, and it's like, all right, now you ship more by water. What would that do? Well, it just repealing the Jones Act from 1920, had that happened or never happened at all, we would have had an additional $10 trillion in GDP alone. And that would free up some of the roads. All right. We have the best freight rail in the world, and it's underutilized and under-maintained. It's
Yeah.
like, all right.
Yeah, and that's the big problem.
It's like, all right, you want to electrify the rail? According to the EPA, it's like, all right, you're taking out at best 1% of USA's airborne pollution. At best. But it's like, okay, what at the same time, it's like, all right, in order to electrify, you have to bring it up to modern standards. You have to allow people to own it and run their own train sets, similar to that of owner-operator truck systems. And it's like, all right, you still need at minimum 2 people aboard. Okay, what's stopping 3 guys to get together and buy this set, and then each one go on an 8-hour shift? And then it's like, all right, it costs $250,000 to buy a new truck, but it's several million to buy a new electric system. It's like, okay, just go to Europe, buy a used system there, retrofit it, and it's good for the next 20 to 30 years.
Yeah.
And, and it's like, all right, it'll cost you $500,000 to buy it, renovate it, and then mail it to you. So it's like, you're buying it used for twice as much as a truck, but if you have 3 or 4 of you, it's even less, and you can retrofit it out so it's like you have a small kitchen and sleeping arrangements. Then you just have to have somebody pick up your mail and meet you alongside the rail to deliver it to you every few weeks.
Yeah, and again, there's a limit to, safety regulations. Yes, there should be absolutely some sort of safety regulation, but in terms of business like regulations, like the example you're putting in, Minor Tree, is that if you could have some, and I know Ruben has talked about this as well. I mean, if you could have several guys get together and say, hey, I want to build a passenger rail system, or I want to build a short rail freight system somewhere. We could be able to have that in our country pretty easily, but most of the stuff that's being made is just a whole bunch of another software company, another SaaS company. Why? Because that's easy to make, because there's so much regulation in making any other sort of company that's what most investors are going to go to, because that's a safe bet for them. Because, well, I can go ahead and invest in another BS SaaS company that will make me $5 million in a couple years, rather than, maybe these guys that are over in this state over here that are getting together to pool money for a passenger rail system on this, between these 2 cities. Yeah, that may take a longer time, but in 15 years, that will make me, I don't know, $25 million versus the $5 million. It's put 2 and 2 together. It's all we're asking for is, let's make things that make sense again, and let's do it in a sensible, common sense fashion. That's all we're asking for.
Yeah, and the main issue with that is a lot of it is so much over-regulation and over-taxation, which makes both starting a business, much less running it, extremely difficult.
Oh yeah, and granted, it's on purpose to avoid competition, because I guarantee you that if passenger rail systems were deregulated, that you could have something like that, like somebody can come up with something like Texas Central Rail very quickly. You're going to have Southwest Airlines and a whole bunch of other airlines lobbying to hell to make sure that it doesn't happen.
Yeah, and I want you to do this and just clip this next part and send it to every single bad faith transit advocate. Send it straight to their channels. It's like, all right, let's just think about this for just one moment. If you overtax somebody and you lower the taxes, you get more tax income. How's that? Because they have more money to put back into the system, and thus they invest more. If you overregulate something, then you have issues getting more competition. And to put that one point into perspective, did you hear about the demands for nationalization of the trucking fleets earlier this year?
Yeah, I heard about that.
No. Did you? We need to nationalize all the trucking industry. Did you hear about that? No. So when Yellow went out of business and 99,000 people are at now, there's no calls for nationalization. Why is that? Because we have a bunch of owner-operator trucking companies as well as other trucking companies, and there's no issue.
Yeah.
But every single time that a railroad company is falling on hard times, we need to nationalize the entire railroad industry. Why?
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous.
Because
for
we
sure.
made it impossible to start new companies, and we allowed the bad ones to get bailed out time and time again. And then you're wondering why we're in the same position. It's like, all right, if you allow a industry to be healthy, a big whale goes out. Don't worry, the sharks will eat him up, and new whales will take its place.
Yeah, and then
But if you have a bad industry, all of a sudden, one whale goes out, and oh no, we just lost a quarter, we just lost a third, we just lost a half of the industry, so we have to nationalize all of it. But we're not going to change anything, but put in our bureaucracy on top of it, and we're going to tell everyone it's going to make everything cheaper.
Yeah.
And then wonder why 10 years later, not only is it not cheaper, it's more expensive, takes longer to do, and nothing ever seems to get done.
Yeah, and that there is just basic common sense capitalism, not laissez-faire. Let a company do whatever the hell it wants and pleases at the expense of everybody else capitalism, but capitalism that makes sense.
Yeah, that they're advocating more for state capitalism at best, and more of how do I put this delicately?
Communism.
No, communism would be a few steps beyond, but it's more of just semi-state order, semi-state ownership, similar to that of Amtrak, which, oh yes, it's a private company that gets subsidized by the government every single year because they're not allowed to make the necessary reductions in order to break even, much less make enough money to restart the system. Because had they been able to contract, build out a good system out in the Northeast, and then rebuild again, Amtrak would have been highly successful, and we would have passenger rail back probably by the time I was born in the 90s. I'm not going to say when, because that would give it away in the... and I don't want to tell everyone how old I am.
No, I get you, man.
96, when the ICC Interstate Commerce Commission was taken down?
No, not 96, and I'm not going to say more than that.
Alrighty, but yeah, no, that was a good point, man, and yeah, that's the thing is that in my industry, when we do biddings to move anything with different trucking companies, you bid them against each other, and okay, well, maybe this guy's cheaper, but he doesn't do as well as a job as the other guy over here. So maybe we'll spend a little bit more to give it to this guy because we know he'll get it to us when we ask him to. And this other guy is going to take forever, or he's going to mess up a PDI process or something like that, or something else is going to get messed up in between. And that's the thing is that, you have to make some give or takes over here and give people options. That's another thing is that we don't really have options in this country. If I want to get to work, I only have one way to get to work, and that is I have to get my car and I have to go there.
Yeah,
I cannot
Yeah, and the worst part about it is if you actually look at the numbers, because I'm a business guy, 59% of the entire U.S. economy is just the small, medium businesses. So companies that employ 500 people or less.
Right.
So it's like, all right, what would happen if we say, all right, let's make transportation available for all, and then it's all of a sudden it's like, I know there's a train going from Anchorage all the way up to Fairbanks, but what would happen if somebody said, let's go from, say, Washington State all the way up to Alaska and stop along the way? And it's like, all right, that's an option. It's like, all right, let's make it higher speed rail so it doesn't take us the better part of a week to do it. It's like, all right, that makes much more interesting. Oh, and it's going to be all electric, powered by the hydroelectric dams all along the way, maybe some geothermal, and if there's any more, let's go nuclear. So it's clean all the way. It's like, all right, now we're getting somewhere. And it's like, all right, and we're getting all our food from farms all along the way. So it's like, it's all close at hand, and we're doing it to make sure we're good for the environment. It's like, all right, now we got a good business opportunity. It's like, oh, and not only that, it's going to be cheaper than flying there.
Yeah, which is funny enough how you describe this is how most railroads started within the United States. It's like just
yeah.
I mean,
It's like
I keep going back to the Florida East Coast example for Flagler. He started the Florida East Coast mainly because he needed a better way to get materials to St. Augustine to build his hotels because every other way just sucked.
Yeah, and to go off of David's point from earlier, it's like, oh, this is so expensive to do this and that. It's like, all right, to do the railroads and then build up all that other stuff. It's like, all right, so the Japanese railway model where the railroads break even, maybe make a little money, but the main part of their money they make is from all the real estate holdings they have, as well as any rents and lease payments. So,
Right.
and that makes massive amounts of their money. It's like, and worst case scenario, it's like you make those videos. It's like you get free helps from me to make those videos and bring in more information, especially on the business side of it.
Yeah.
But
Got another train
wait. I said only 3 free. The rest you have to earn.
3 for free.
It's like Flagler, he also sell land that was right beside his railroad that railroad earned, or like not earned but owned. And
Yeah,
saying it, the FRA, or not the FRA, but the ICC or the Interstate Commerce Commission, when they fully got corrupt, because let's be honest, the car company and the airline realized that the FAA, or not the FAA, but the FRA, the Federal Interstate Commerce Commission, don't control them or the car company, but only the railroad. They snuck their guys in. Let's be honest. The airlines and the car company snuck their guys into the FRA, or technically the Interstate Commerce Commission, with it. But the thing is that when the railroad was restricted heavily back in the 50s through the 70s, it had to do with the airlines and the car company. Because with their guys sneaking their guys in there and making it harder for them, they literally kneecap the railroad competition. They literally kneecap competition right there.
It's that revolving door that you have between lobbying companies, between the federal government bureaucracies that exist that allows that sort of thing to happen.
Yeah, and not to take too much time away from everyone else, I'll just make this last point before heading on out and letting Star Force go next if he's still here. There's 2 ways of looking at it. It's the traditional way of power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, or one of the ways that my friend put it, power doesn't corrupt. Power just magnifies the level of corruption already in you.
Bingo.
And I'm gonna have to bid you adieu while giving everyone else their turn.
Alrighty, appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming on board.
All right.
You
See
too.
you next time.
Okay, so let's see who's next in the audience over here. We're gonna just go from left to right, whoever has their hand up, and go from there. So Tobio Kageyama, go from there. Star Force, if you have your hand up next, we'll get you in. But let's go. Let's bring Tobio on board.
Hello.
What's up, man? How's it going?
Oh, good down there, except that for some reason it's still hot, even though it's October, so I don't know, crazy weather, I have to say.
Yeah, we're getting, I think, an Indian summer over here. I can't hear you too well, man, because I think your mic's a little low, or your gain's put.
Oh, better?
Yep, better.
That's the better.
Well, thank you. Well, I want to talk about, like you guys were talking about a few minutes ago, like, how insane it is to build an infrastructure project here in the U.S. in the 21st century, because I don't know, because 100 years ago we were able to do it like in about a few years, and now you'll be lucky if you could do it in a few decades. So just think about the insanity there.
It's the it's just that's again, it's this is the problem here is that there's so much to be done and it's taking so long, and it doesn't
Yeah.
need to take that long. I mean, just like the examples that myself and Minor Tree and David have said. I mean, we were able to build so much so fast in this country with far less technology available, and we can't do that
Right.
now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And which also brings me to the next point, which like you guys said, those stupid studies that they do in order to build those projects these days. Who the hell even gives a crap about those things? I mean, who the hell even reads those things and don't cares about? I mean, what's the effing point of those things? I mean, I just can't
You can
understand.
blame it
It's
on
mainly
freedom huggers.
no, well, it's also mainly for the funding committees that they'll go ahead and have their assistants or their interns go ahead and read this and then highlight it and say, oh, well, this project will bring X amount of whatever BS number that we made up of economic development to the region. Okay, and a lot of these numbers are kind of made up. The fact is that if you actually were to build it and spend less time talking about it, you'd actually get closer to those numbers rather than talking about it and then never getting it done. So all that economic expenditure or development and improvement to the region that you talk about never happens because we're just talking about studies that we can do this or that to improve or double capacity here or there, rather than look, we spent I don't know how many years talking about it. Just do it. They didn't have these EIS studies when they built the first tunnels over, where they built the Lincoln tunnels or any of these tunnels in New York. There was no EIS study. There was no this or that. There was maybe a little bit of study in terms of how to actually build it, and everybody knew it was common sense. It was going to be better for the area if they built it, but there wasn't some sort of the amount of time that is spent on studies and think tanks is ridiculous. It's like that joke that somebody made in Europe. It's oh, we have all these European think tanks, and then the Russian comes in. It's like tanks are not made for thinking. That's what it is.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like, sure, you can do the studies, but do it in a manner that's more efficient, more honest, I would say, and more faster, I would have to say. Like, do it in a better way, I would have to say. Yeah.
Like, it's so funny they do it that way, and sometimes some of them are just freaking scams. Am I right?
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
And to the point, what was that Canadian comedy show that basically said, well, high-speed rail study, and it's like, oh, here's another year, another high-speed rail study. We're going to spend millions of dollars on a high-speed rail study. Here's all the paper we'll spend on it. And it's gotten to the point that, yeah, it's become a joke, but it's kind of reality of what we're here in this country when it comes to building any sort of infrastructure. It's just study after study. We know it will work. It's common sense that it will work. Just build the damn thing already.
I mean, we've seen it in Japan, we've seen it in Korea, we've seen it in all the other countries. So why the hell can't we build it to go here in like states like, I don't know, New York, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Texas? I mean, why can't we do that? Why can't we build a thing that we all know that it already works, that we already seen it like a million times for the past like 5 decades all around the world, I mean, I just can't understand that.
It's because you got companies and airlines like airline, car company, and the oil company that don't want it to happen here in the U.S.
Exactly.
Because
I mean,
we're technically shackled to them like we're their slaves.
yeah, I mean, it's not like they're against capitalism, but I'm more against I'm a corporationism, because let's face it, corporationism is just, I don't know, like communism or fascism, except that it's in capitalism.
Yeah, it's corporatocracy. Yeah.
Yeah. So we
It
need to
lacks
end that.
bureaucracy.
Right. So if we want to move our country forward again, I don't know, we've got to cut the crap, Stop with all the corporationism. Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter whether the name, because it's, whether it's corporatocracy or corporatism, if somebody sees a tiger, it doesn't matter what language, you don't want to be messing with the tiger, and that's not something you want to be next to. So it's like, we use common sense to just say, hey, look, and just think of it from this logically. We've seen this happen. We've seen this work before in terms of when we come to build infrastructure, and it used to work in this country. Why can't we just do that, but better and faster with the technology that we have available to us? That's logical sense.
Exactly.
Mhm. And the thing is that, like what I was saying earlier, we do not, even though she's a female, we don't need her in office. Like, if we get her in office, it'll be a setback for transit into the country.
Just forget transit. It's just a setback for the country. Period. I mean, I've gone very hard to not mention either of the two candidates' names in the last several videos, because at this point, like, look, if you're still thinking about it, or if you're on the fence, come on.
Yeah.
But anyway, alrighty. Appreciate your time, man.
Thank
Yeah.
you. You too.
All
You
right.
have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Okay, and last speaker for tonight, Renell.
Oh, we have two. Star
we got
Force.
okay.
One to tuck your hand up and to put it down. There you go.
All right. We'll go Renell, and then we'll go Star Force, because I said Renell's name, so we'll go with that, and then we'll go to Star Force last.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Renell, you're on board.
Yep. They gotta wait for him to join.
Okay, Renell, going once, going twice. And we'll just go to Star Force. We'll have Renell next. Oh, there we are.
We'll have him last just in case.
There we are. We'll just have his hand up still. All right, Star Force, welcome aboard.
Star Force, you there?
Hold on, my connection. Can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Okay.
We can.
All right, thanks. So yeah, I've been following. First of all, I'm glad that we're finally doing these streams again. Thankfully, it's been a long 5 months since
I know it's
streams for sure.
hiatus, man.
I did before I get to my one of my bigger questions that I've been wanting to ask since then. I just wanted to kind of make a remark about Helene with the southern in the basically in Appalachia. Obviously, the problem. I feel like I've learned a little bit more about FEMA in this case, and I feel like the problem is the problem, yeah, is like the lack of support that these places are getting. Like, for one thing, like, even though these are remote communities and not heavily populated areas, that doesn't mean we shouldn't be helping them. Like, I don't know if they're under that impression or anything like that, but it's absolute. But I really feel for those who live, who are in those areas, and then pretty much not only that, but called those areas home for all their life. And in addition, over the summer, I did spend some time over in that area, not necessarily North Carolina, but on the other side of the border in Tennessee. I actually visited Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, and
I've been there
thankfully,
too.
really, how recently?
2019, about 5 years ago. Not too
Wow.
long ago.
Yeah, it's definitely not too long ago, like by today's standards, it feels like. But honestly, like I can kind of get a feel for the area based on where I was. But thankful, I thought like the Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg area was going to be harder hit from Helene, but thankfully it looks like they were pretty much spared like the worst of it. Like obviously they got some pretty long sustained impacts, but obviously, like, you don't have to go very far from there to see just the devastation that's in those areas, and especially not only that, but that Western North Carolina is such an important um, area for people getting between Tennessee and Central North Carolina, especially in the Tri-Point area, like I believe Raleigh, Charlotte, and another city that I'm forgetting.
Mm-hmm. Durham.
Durham, yeah. But honestly, like it would be like, I also was following like the Amtrak service that was in the Carolinas. I thought the Amtrak service there was gonna be, well, in Eastern North Carolina and into South Carolina, thought this was gonna be delayed further. Thankfully, it looks like those Amtrak routes are opening back up. And I also saw
It
that,
was delayed for about 5 days. That's how long it was delayed.
yeah, which in the scope of things I compared with further west doesn't seems like it would be much more, uh, much pretty fast of a reopening time compared to those areas. But I also remember um, some good things about Amtrak, some notable things about Amtrak that I've followed in the months since there was even a stream was Amtrak's two new routes that were that well, either is in service or is beginning to enter service. Obviously, Amtrak's new Borealis service, which is basically just a second train along the Minneapolis Chicago portion of the Empire Builder, and obviously the merger
Oh,
between Capital Limited and the Silver Star.
with it now going to be called the Floridian, which
Yep.
that starts service in 5 days.
Yeah. I thought it started service in November.
5 days from now in November, or not November, but 5 days from now.
Wow.
Huh.
I'll need to look that up again, but it's been like, it just goes to show. But the thing is, though, they said it would be a temporary service because of the tunnel project in Baltimore. But honestly, if things go well, I would say that could become potentially permanent. Like, there have been I've read that there have been multiple Chicago Miami routes in the over the years, even with Amtrak. But um, obviously it's been decades since, because of all the long distance services that have been shut down over the years because of the profitability loss. But it almost seems like yesterday, when before the pandemic, Amtrak was literally about to break even on its from its losses, and to potentially profiting uh, off of their system.
Yeah, it was so close, and that was mainly due to the pandemic. I mean, most ridership still hasn't recovered to its pre-pandemic, um, just the service that it had before, and the numbers and the ridership numbers haven't gotten back since.
Absolutely. But but I'm just glad that even in spite of the hardships that we've had, especially with rail service, I mean, this is probably the biggest changes I've seen out of Amtrak since I started getting interested in trains in general and noticing how important they are. I mean, not just with Brightline, but obviously it's setting the. I figured Brightline would be setting the stage for that, and I feel like that's something that is good to look forward to. But I also remember earlier in the stream, like, these rail projects, like, yeah, they'll definitely gain ridership and profits and other things like that, but obviously you have to focus on the affordability of living in this country in general. Not just by states. Like, for example, like my girlfriend who I've been dating for over 8 years now has not too long was last year last year moved to New York, and was staying with her parents, well, not her parents, but staying with her aunt at first, and then she eventually, when she got to live out on her own, she got two jobs where she's basically working full time, and and with the insane amount of rent, like this is a room share. This wasn't an actual apartment. Like she had to pay like $950 a month, and she was struggling to break even. And obviously, she was originally eventually going to move to Chicago to live near me, which she found would this Chicago to be cheaper than New York. Still expensive, obviously, but it's more affordable. But even with Chicago being expensive, it just goes to show like how expensive like these states like California and New York are becoming in general. And I think the biggest priority, one of the biggest priorities, is to lower the cost, really just lower the cost of living in general.
Yeah,
Because some people are struggling to meet ends.
that's the
Like-
main problem. Yeah.
Starport, like the price for an apartment here, the cheapest apartment would be around 1,000. Maybe if you get lucky, you might find something around $900. But everything around here is above 900 to 1,000 here in my home city of Charleston, South Carolina.
Yeah, and where I live in Evanston, Illinois, basic apartments are basically starting at around like 1,500 to close to more commonly like 2,000. Like where I'm living, I'm paying over. Well, I myself am not paying, but my parents are paying it for me. But this is like where I'm living is like $2,200 if you include rent and utilities. I'm sorry, rent, utilities, and internet and everything else.
But to be honest, I'm gonna bring that up at that the price of living in the U.S. Like a lot of people are going in either into the Midwest or going out of country. Like
Yeah.
Exactly.
like the new American dream is to move out of the country now, and that's not a good sign.
Or at least out of the big cities
Yeah, but
out of the big
like-
cities into like smaller towns where rent is at least more affordable and other stuff.
Yeah, and,
Well,
and
a lot
for
of
not man again for
cheaper.
yeah, for both A, that it's a lower cost of living, and B, for a place that you're not going to get stabbed in because there's a lower crime rate outside of the cities, of course. So it's a two-pronged attack on the American, just the American citizen of living in the cities, that you can't afford it, and it's not really relatively safe. So you want to live, and you want to at least live comfortably to where you can at least afford something. So your only option is to leave the city.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then if you go to the suburbs, obviously the best way to get around is by car, and not everyone can afford a car.
Oh yeah.
And here, Jane, I'm gonna bring it up. It's not a good idea to raise kids into suburbs. Like the suburb is a breeding ground for mental illness for kids. And my thing is, if you look at every mass shooter in the U.S., most of them, or 99% of them, were raised in suburban development. And my thing is that it's not good for the mental health. Like, I will never raise my kid if I have one in suburbia.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting study to do. That even like more than the meds that a lot of these mass shooters were on is how do they all live? All grow up in like suburbia. That would be an interesting study to turn everything on its head. But pretty interesting stuff, guys. Okay, I gotta start winding this down in about like the next 2 or 3 minutes. So, last words.
Yeah.
All right, we got one other guy, and he.
Manel, if you're on, if you want to say anything, you're more than welcome to, man. You there?
Ronell, you there?
All right, guys. Last words, and we'll call it a night.
Yeah, so have you ever considered resuming your big video where you compare the New York City subway to the Tokyo Metro?
Oh yeah, that's definitely on the list for sure. I'm definitely trying to make that a thing. It's now that okay, I'm here, I'm set. Let's start getting ideas put together and going from there. I'm going to put out a poll in the next week or so about what sort of videos. I'm going to come up with like maybe 5 or so videos or so and then see which ones you guys want me to try to make next. And I'll go from there.
Sounds good.
And also doing the update and collabing with fellow YouTubers like me too. Am I right, Dimitri? Like,
oh yeah, no, definitely. That's going to be a part of it, and I've had ideas for some of the videos where some of you guys opine, and there are some segments where you guys go ahead and make your statements, and it's put into not just me talking over it, but there's also some other YouTube collaborators going ahead and having sections where they had their own stuff, and then once after their 2 or 3 minutes of their section, it's going into their channel. So
we can all have a connection. Some of our channel, some of y'all channel, like connected, where we all connected. Also, updating some of your old videos, like the one that talk about what really happened to American passenger rail. That video is good and still good, but I do say that there's some stuff that does need to be updated too, even though it aged very well for being 7 years old. That video, there's some stuff that does need to be updated and added in. Am I right?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think that doing something like that's
it does need to be
similar,
updated with some of the stuff that
similar
we
but
need to
different.
talk about.
Exactly.
That
Alrighty.
would be in 2024.
Yeah. Alrighty, folks. So
it being over 7 years old.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. For
Am
sure,
I
man.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely do want to revisit that one and update it to, I mean, not just the production quality, but update the information to it as well. Oh yeah, man. Time just flies. And speaking of, help these guys, help these guys fly over at Operation Airdrop. David, you're just here. Help these guys over at Operation Airdrop.
Right. Can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear, man. Let's call it a night over here.
I can't hear you again. It started messing up again on my. I can't hear you.
All right, can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes, I can.
Last thing, and then we're gonna call it a night, guys. Help these guys stay in the air of Operation Airdrop if you can. Link is in the description and pinned in the comments as well. So just make sure you guys can be able to do that. But yeah, we're gonna get videos updated and everything in there. David, sign us out, man.
This have been the American Rail Club and Fan the Train, and we're both signing out. Have a nice night, everybody.
Thank you all for riding aboard. Good night.
That was good.